Joining us now, former White House Deputy Chief of Staff Karl Rove and Fox News contributor Liz Peek. It's great to have you both on. Karl, first to you, what's your reaction to this report? I mean, a private company, if the SEC caught what the Pentagon was doing, they would put that company out of business.
Yeah, look, government accounting is almost an oxymoron. And you know, apropos of your opening on this, where you were talking about the Secret Service announcing that a foreign hacking group based in China and associated with the Chinese Communist Party stole $20 million. Think about this. The estimates from the government are that $80 billion of PPP money was stolen, that $90 billion of state unemployment funds were stolen, and that $80 billion from the COVID disaster relief program were stolen. And it took until March of this year to finally appoint a special pandemic prosecutor to look into these things in a systematic way. We're talking about $250 billion that the federal government admits that it believes was stolen. And it's coming across this stuff, finding these things. That in California and Michigan, there have been actions already taken against insiders inside the state departments of unemployment, the state workers' comp office, state unemployment offices, who were feeding information to people in prison in order to help them get money illegally from these kind of COVID relief programs. So we got a problem.
It's breeding cynics out of people. Americans don't want to be cynical, Liz. You know what I mean? They're good people. Americans are generous. They're they're good. I have full faith in the American people. What do you think, Liz? Now they want the IRS to go after Americans for their $600 Venmo or PayPal transactions to pay for that corruption?
Yeah, this puts that entire exercise under a real scrutiny, doesn't it, Liz? I mean, we're talking, as Karl said, we're talking amounts of money that would fund significant government programs just vanished into thin air. I read that story about the Pentagon losing $2 trillion.
And paperwork, they can't account for it. I know they can't. They don't have the paperwork. They can only account for 40% of the spending. They don't have the paperwork for the rest.
And by the way, when we have Republicans questioning where some of the money is going that's being shipped over to Ukraine, you can kind of understand why they're concerned. My guess is we have no idea where that money is going.
Yeah.
Where's the money that has been appropriated supposedly for infrastructure spending, Liz? I don't know where that's going. I mean, you do feel like it's all out of control.
Is the Ukraine money going to oligarchs over there in Swiss bank accounts, Karl? I mean, Miranda Devine well, we don't know, but Miranda Devine, I hear what you're saying.
No, we do know. We do know because most of that money is going to pay for goods and services that are provided here in the United States. We're not sending money over there to buy ammunition. We're buying the ammunition and sending the ammunition over.
We don't, but there's not been an audit. There hasn't been an audit of the Ukraine aid. And by the way, wait, hang on. Let me finish. Hang on. Wait, hang on. Stay with me. The president of Nigeria is now warning that guns and weapons are showing up in his region in Africa in the hands of Boko Haram terrorists. So there's a lack of accountability of what's being given to Ukraine. I got to move on to this, Karl. Miranda Devine reporting at the New York Post, even Hunter Biden's past employer, the law firm Boies Schiller Flexner, they got $10 million pandemic loans from the federal government. That was meant for the little guy, the mom and pop shops, Karl.
Yeah, and that was incidentally, they gave $1 million in campaign contributions to the Democrats in the same year. So yeah, look, I mean, we were in a desperate place, and I don't disparage the Trump administration for executing this program. It saved a lot of businesses, but we should have paid more attention both to the unemployment program and to the distribution of these funds. When it was done by a local bank that could tell you whether it was a real business or not, that was one thing. But when it was taken advantage of by wealthy companies like the Boies law firm, or by non-existent companies who are able to skate through this process, the Boies law
firm reportedly gave $1 million to the Democrat Party. You know, Liz Peek, your final word. We've got the runoff in Georgia between Herschel Walker and Raphael Warnock. Herschel Walker has been talking about fiscal responsibility. It seems like his message is falling on deaf ears, though. Liz, what do you think? Final word.
Liz, if people won't respond to all these alarms about how much money is spent until it shows up in a really practical way. It's showing up in inflation. That's a problem. It's also going to show up in terms of the American people not getting some of the programs that they desperately need and looking at much higher taxes. we're going to have to find the money to pay all these bills at some point. That's when people will start paying attention.
Got it. Karl Rove, Liz Peek, that was a great interview. Come back soon.